Hello, welcome everyone to The Distraction. We're here. It is Thursday, May 13th. I am Jeremy Lambert, joined as always, the Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Stone Cold Chubby Chief. I don't know. Do we? It feels like forever since we've done like an actual nickname. Joseph Hulbert's here. How you doing, Joseph?
You know, it's true. That is a problem, Jeremy. We should probably fix that at some point. Devil on my shoulder, Jeremy, as you will know. New inclusion on the Distraction set, as I know. This is a studio, a set, a professional program. New inclusion. There he is.
You just pointed him out. I was gonna, introduce him and let everybody know that Shawn Michaels is here, and you're just like, there he is, right there.
Here's the thing, okay? I wanted to get the elephant out of the room. I can't literally throw it out, so I just wanted to get it. Because here's why, Jeremy. God forbid you and I forget talking about it, and the comments think that they've actually uncovered something that we wasn't aware of, and I have Shawn Michaels in my on my shoulder. I don't want that.
Wouldn't that have been better, though, if we were just like, we just ignored it, and Shawn Michaels is just hanging out over your shoulder this entire time?
If it was someone I liked, yes, much better. Shawn Michaels, no, I need to make clear that this is a rib, and I've been duped here somewhat. Here he is.
Is it a rib?
Absolutely, very much a rib, yes. I spent lots of time dunking on cardboard cutouts, and next thing I knew, a friend of mine, Twitch subscriber and pal, JR1990, he's slung this thing behind me, so here I am. You know, a lot's changed around here, Jeremy, as you know. I just wanted to make clear to everyone, I do not endorse the devil on my shoulder, Shawn Michaels, Heartbreak Kid.
You're not going to give a shout out to who sent that to you? I feel like it's very important for the brand who sent that.
Well, I just said who actually sent it, but if you're suggesting I say like Paul Levesque or Mark Carano, then no, I can't.
I thought Shawn himself actually sent it to you.
No, I can confirm he did not send it to me. But he has not blocked me on Twitter, which is very funny because he blocks many people that are big fans of his work. So there you go.
Yeah, he hasn't blocked me either. I'm sure if he saw the clip where I said "fuck Shawn Michaels," he might block me.
Is that when you parried a ladder match and started like kicking shit over? Was that one? Okay.
So I super kicked my Fiend face.
There you go. How could I forget the details? You're right. That's what you did. There you go.
The ladder. Are you gonna super kick the Shawn Michaels cutout one day?
No, man. Torn muscle. That'd be very bad. I'd fall down live on air. Look, I just want to clear, okay? Because I know that JR99, he's out there, he sent this to me. No shoot names, he's informed me. I did that once, very bad. But like, I will never destroy it or remove this figure that's looking over me. But I want to make it clear, mark it in on the Distraction calendar, the universal Distraction. This is not my choice, okay? And I would do anything to not have him with his dukes up, looking over me, eyes veering, okay?
It is your choice. Like, you could just not put it there.
Yeah. What's the fun in that?
Fair. I mean, very fair. But like, don't say it's not my choice. Like, okay. It is.
It's my choice. It's my choice. I love the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Let's get some plugs out of the way, I guess. Sign up to Fightful Select if you want. I guess Zelina Vega news. Like, that's cool. Like, you know what you should really sign up to? Patreon.com/The Distraction. Distraction Choice. Not Distraction Select. Please don't get us in trouble. Distraction Choice. We got news on Sean Ross Sapp being a coward. Joseph is reviewing Eddie Kingston matches over there. We've written more about NWA Power than any other website or service in the world, I'm pretty sure. What a show that is, Joseph.
That was dark. Jeremy, I read your thing. I don't know if you've read mine, but it was dark. At the end of that, I was like, do I even like wrestling? Where am I? I don't know. A lot on there, folks. I don't know if it's worth actual human money, but like, it might be. It's actually getting to a level of quality that it might be worth that. I don't know.
Man Antonio says Joe is Nostradamus predictor of all. What'd you predict? I mean, besides everything.
It seems that I got the Chris Jericho thing like exactly spot on correct. And he said about how nervous he was about the bump and the time cues. And people suggest otherwise, Jeremy, very often, but I'm actually quite good at this, and frankly, so are you. We're not bad at this, you know. We could do this, especially with this new set that I have behind me, you know, Patreon. It's a full-time gig, brother. Let me tell you, we're pros.
It really is. So people are commenting on the chat. They're worried about my job after listing the boy. I've not been listing the boy. I've not been fired. Here's the thing with this. Sean Ross Sapp is a coward because there was more to that yesterday And Sean he didn't do it. He is an actual coward. Joseph, you want to talk about we're good at this. Here's what should have happened yesterday on Listing Your Boy.
The following is a paid ad brought to you by The Distraction.
Thanks, Tony. Jimmy, if you're looking for the checks, they're in the mail. You can check in with the Fightful champion, to make sure he's useful around here and not just used as a one-off bit with no actual plan. Anyway, if you're looking for some layers and some levels in your podcast, check out The Distraction. Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow, tremendous show. Quite possibly our best lineup ever. We're going to preview WrestleMania Backlash, I guess. We're going to talk about Alexa Bliss and her magical powers. Probably not. We are definitely going to talk about Darby Allin losing the AEW TNT title to Miro. That's not a spoiler. I don't have spoilers. I don't have scoops. That's just a prediction. All right? Check it out. Tremendous. Absolutely. Quite possibly. Our best show ever. Going to be tremendous. Something different in your wrestling podcast. 2 white guys. I have my own shirt with my face on it. My co-host has an accent. The Distraction. Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern. YouTube.com/Fightful. We got juice boxes as well. People can say they do our show. Nobody does our show. Joseph, we do have juice boxes and we do have scoops. We got both of them.
Well, this is the problem is when it gets left on the cutting room floor, you then can take it and then add to it and create a whole other monster out of it. So now I have heat with because I don't know if it's Sean. I know the Listen Your Boy has a pretty broad production team. I know it's a big show. It's not like us here with just our cutouts and our silly props, Jeremy. So I'm not sure. Maybe it was a kind of an internal choice. I'm not sure if it was a bad one because now you had to add to the bit and you had to make it worthwhile. It's very tough.
I mean, I called it. I said that Darby Allin was going to lose the TNT title to Miro, right? Called it.
Yes, that was the takeaway that everyone got from that video. Very much, yes.
Milkman says, just happy to be here for the last ever Distraction on Fightful. Hopefully not. Jimmy loves our show, he said. I don't know if he said he loves our show, but he says he's aware our show exists, I think. I mean, now he does because we're running paid ads, but Sean didn't run it. The coward, Sean Ross Sapp, here you go, supporting the lads. SRS is a coward, factual, as reported on Distraction Choice. Sean Ross Sapp is a coward.
I have no comment on any of this, but I'm going to be honest, I'm very, very scared about the chat all agreeing and providing a consensus concern that this show is cancelled now. I did not realise it was this grim, I'm going to be honest, guys, but I'm now worried. Okay.
Let's talk about AEW. Tremendous show last night, Joseph. The best lineup ever, quite possibly the best wrestling lineup ever put together by Tony Khan. Pay-per-view quality lineup.
I mean, it was a pay-per-view quality lineup, okay? I mean, I know you're having some fun, but I was one of the dipshits that lined up and said, best Dynamite ever, here it comes. I think it's worth we should try and do this, capture this as well as we can, right? I have seen some complaints, Jeremy. I actually haven't seen any, but I'm going to pretend there's some. That we are now an AEW exclusive podcast. And I have to step forward and take the blame for this because I only watch AEW Dynamite for the most part. So that is me. Jeremy, you can get this one off. You have other problems elsewhere. Clearly, that's another thing, okay? But I think this is another week where we should find ourselves talking about this show a lot because it was a very interesting show. I saw someone on Twitter, I want to say it was Ben O from Post. He said this tweet, he goes, it's the worst wrestling television show I've ever seen that featured 3 4-star matches. And that is one of the great tweets because it's true. It had 3 matches that I loved. So how bad can it be? Well, it obviously wasn't bad. It was at least fine just on that metric. But there was a tonal kind of, there is an issue there, right? There was a couple things that, for me anyway, fell through, which we can get into. So just to set my story out and make it clear on that. Jericho and Cody have always had creative leeway, right? They can do what they want to do. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. For me this week, they both swung and missed pretty bad. That's fine. The other thing that went wrong was no one's fault, which is just Orange got hurt. And that match comes off so much better if they get an epic last 5 minutes where they're doing 101 false finishes. Everyone's so fired up for it. The clock's going down. Instead, we got a really shitty WWE finish. Yeah. Right? So that's obviously off the board. That's no one's fault. It's just that's the way wrestling is. The 2 segments, I think, are bigger complaints. There were the usual issues that we've spoken about, Jeremy, of Jesus, can something just breathe on this thing? Miro's won the title, the Dark Order are here. SCU's broke up. Eddie and Mox are back there. it could do with settling in sometimes. But I do think it's worth leading with this, which is that, hey, man, 3 pretty excellent TV matches. It was still a good show. It's just by AEW standards, you left it kind of going, oh, there was something a little off. I don't know. It was weird.
I mean, it peaked in the first 5 minutes with the backstage shot of Moxley and Nagata, and then Nagata's entrance. Moxley coming out the Wild Thing, the Onita tribute. Dude, and like the sun hadn't gone down yet, so it was still like kind of light out. Just so good. Kingston's there, like hyping him up and everything.
Honestly, like this is gonna sound ridiculous because neither of us have a list off the top of our heads, but that's got to be a top 5 Dynamite moment. Like, I could watch that shit over and it gets me fired up.
Yeah.
And the shot they used too, where it was like behind Mox, you saw the whole arena open up. Eddie's going berserk. He's got like the towel. It's so good. All of that was, to me, that like 12 minutes of wrestling. To be honest, what you said 5, but the match was cool in the post match. That was like AEW its absolute best, where they just did something that they knew we would like and was cool and weird, and it had energy and it had like, it felt sincere and authentic. That was at its best. There were some other elements to show it was like, oh, I don't know. It's like, I just wish there was a little more quality control. But there was, I mean, look, the in-ring was very good.
Bud Ryan says, got dose number 2 today. Entire fam is fully vaxxed. Good job, Bud Ryan. Hope everything goes well tomorrow. I think the second day might hit hard, so take care of yourself, man. Keep up the Hall of Fame content, guys. Joe, Cody promo has me rooting for the Brit. Bruv for life. Let's talk about these issues here. The Cody promo, honestly, like, it was just awkward and unnecessary. I don't know why this became a USA versus Britain thing. I get, okay, a go-go laid the flag on him, right? Sure, but like this is like the whole thing was they turned on him. Like it was his family turning on him, and that's the story, not USA versus the world here, not America. Fuck yeah! Like it didn't make any sense to go this direction.
It didn't. No, I mean, I have to be careful with this, Jeremy, because I don't want to be a hypocrite, okay? And this is what I mean by that. We both know, for as much as we love him, as much as he made us laugh, Dusty would say some shit that if it was placed in a world where everyone can live react to the dumb shit he's saying, it probably wouldn't come across too well. And boy, was this a Dusty Rhodes promo. Now, I will criticize, I will question doing a Dusty Rhodes promo in 2021. Feels like not the time, I'm going to be honest with you. But it's like, I watched it and was just like, man, I'm torn because I thought that was really uncomfortable and misplaced and felt wrong. He didn't feel like AEW, you know?
Right.
But then I was also like, oh, but he's Dusty's son, and of course he would do that shit. You know, like I think there's a conversation about Cody's, like, his instincts as a storyteller, I think are somewhat in question at this point. I really do. I don't agree with the idea of like, oh, this guy wants, he's Triple H and all this stuff. Like, he's done a lot of
Does he need to fuck off more than anybody?
No, I wouldn't go that far, right? But what I'm saying is, like, the more that he gets to just paint his own picture with guys that, like, Ogogo's brand new, QT's going to do what Cody wants him to do, right?
Right.
You get these things where it's like, oh, I don't know if he's quite the mind people think he is. Because he's always the guy, right, Jeremy? You know this, like, I hate AEW, man. Those elite guys haven't got a clue. But Cody, he knows some old school wrestling. It's like you watch this show and you go, he might know some old school wrestling, but I don't know if we need that old school wrestling anymore. It's hard. Like, I as soon as he started talking, I just was cringing. It just made me a bit embarrassed. Now, obviously, look, clearly I'm not the audience for it, right? Obviously, it goes without saying. But even still, man, it was I wouldn't have gone that way. I'll put it that way.
No, and I think like there probably is an audience for it, but it's tough. That's a tough one. Again, I just don't know why it was necessary for this particular feud. You want to do it in some other feud, I still don't think it has a place. But like this one, the story is the people who you thought were your family turned their back on you, and they just left you out there. Like that's the story, right? Like they thought QT Marshall was the guy who was going to help them more than you. Not America versus the world. I just don't think that's the right story for this.
Yeah, I don't know, man. When you said, like, I think there's an audience, like, Jeremy, we can be honest, there's an audience.
Oh, there is, yes.
I mean, they're not the sort of people you and I might associate ourselves with.
No.
There were some people, man, they were pumping their fists. They were talking about Lennox Lewis getting knocked out by Hazim Rackman. They were starting to go wild. They were going wild. The thing is, like, and I know I should, and people against unbiased, I can't dunk on it too hard because it was inherently professional wrestling. Like that is, unfortunately, the dumb shit professional wrestling is founded and built on. Do I think it fit with what AEW has kind of created this idea of what their product is? Frankly, no. I thought it was the opposite. It felt outdated to me. But at the same time, it's like, it's Cody. Like I'm just waiting for him to say this shit. Like as soon as he started, I feel like everyone that I interact with about pro wrestling was just like, and then he went national anthem. We were like, oh no, this is bad. Please stop. I was waiting for someone to come in and be like, Cody. He wasn't going to get stopped, Jeremy. I don't know what you want me to say. It was tough. It was tough to watch.
Carlos Easy says, uneven show, 3-gate matches, but the production during SCU Farewell, Attitude Era, Inner Circle Pinnacle spot, Cody All Lives Matter promo, unfortunate end for OC Impact, blew the air out of the tires. Let's get into Orange Cassidy Impact. Like Joseph said, like you can't really, that's just an unfortunate thing. Like they were going to go 20 minutes. It would have been hot. People would have loved it and everything. It would have been a way to set up a triple threat match, which I think we called on the Twitch. I think we said they were going to potentially do a triple threat match there. What happened instead was the very WWE finish of, the heel in a number one contender match, make sure there's no winner thinking he's going to get the night off. And then he's got to face. It's a very tired trope that I hate WWE does it. And I don't like when that AEW did it, but it was a circumstantial thing, unfortunately. The Inner Circle Pinnacle stuff. Blood and Guts last week, we talked about it. Jericho took the big fall. Why was he back this week? Why? And this goes into my point of like letting the show breathe. This segment, completely unnecessary for this show. Like, do this segment next week. Let all of these guys have a week off, especially Jericho. But let all of these guys have a week off. Do this segment next week, because now you've done this segment. You've not only basically said you're doing Stadium Stampede at Double or Nothing. By the way, they went from one match at Double or Nothing to like 9 after last night. Like, you can't space this out a little bit more on your match announcements and stuff. And they're doing, Inner Circle has to break up if they lose. We just saw the SCU disbanding like 2 minutes before this whole thing. You space this stuff out a little bit.
Yes. So I think the bigger topic here for us to move on to is Double or Nothing, effectively, right? Because I think the concern is, or not the concern, but like the kind of conversation is, are we going in the right direction? What was the need for Jericho to be back so we could do a rematch for Blood and Guts, like all that stuff? Before we get to that, you mentioned about Orange and all that. Like, I do think it's worth. Last week, people were doing false equivalents between Jericho landing on concrete and Jericho landing on a crash pad. Well, in fairness, I've been very critical in the past of AEW's sort of approach to injuries in the ring. I do want to say that I'm glad they did what they did rather than having Orange stumble through 6 more minutes of wrestling. To be clear, because I know it's true. Sometimes we're too easy to criticize rather than compliment. So let's get that out of the way. Now, I think there's a lot of stuff to kind of look at with this Inner Circle Pinnacle deal. So this segment was undeniably a comedy segment. It was, I could be wrong in blaming, it may not have been funny, but it was a comedy segment. I could be wrong in blaming Jericho, but unfortunately, it felt Attitude Era, as the great Super Chat said a moment ago. So your mind goes, this has got Jericho all over it, right? Like, he thinks it's brilliant because it's bubbly, hysterical. That already is like, Blood and Guts should be a blow-off. Why are we doing a comedy segment? Then you're going to book a match that, whatever they do this year, hopefully it won't be comedy. It's famous for being the comedy match. So I was left thinking, okay, why not do them the other way around?
Well, here's the thing. Jericho did about 3 million interviews leading up to Blood and Guts. And in about 2 million of them, 2.9 million of them, he said, this is not the blow off. Like, this is the start of the feud. And, we wondered, why is it on television and stuff like that? That was a reason. He explicitly told anybody who listened to these interviews, read these interviews, whatever, that this is not going to be the last match in the feud. Now, you can argue that it should be, because it probably should be, but he told everyone it's not going to be the last match. So I knew there was going to be a rematch coming. Did I think the rematch was going to be in 3 weeks in a Stadium Stampede where they go from Blood and Guts to comedy? No, I thought maybe It was going to be like a series of smaller matches, like a Jericho MJF one-on-one match, like a blood type match between those two or something. I didn't think they were going to go in this direction with it, but I knew blood and guts was not the end. Again, you can question, and I do, why are you doing this rematch 3 weeks later? Why is Jericho on television a week after taking this fall? Why are you now setting up a cinematic comedy style? And maybe they don't do comedy, but like you said, you've established this as kind of a comedy style match. And for this type of match, like, you're coming on blood and guts. Can you get more serious than blood and guts in a stadium stampede? Like, what are you going to do? Like, the stadium, the whole look of it is comedy. You got a wrestling ring in the middle of an empty stadium, and then you're just going to do like a regular match? Like, it's weird.
It is. And the other thing is, one of the big criticisms of Blood and Guts was, in the television format, you had the ad break issue, right?
Yeah.
Jeremy, how much more seamlessly could you do Stadium Stampede taped with the ad breaks? It's a film, basically, the Stadium Stampede.
Yeah.
And remember, Blood and Guts was a separate taping. So you wouldn't even have to do that taping. You could have just done, it's like, I was just left puzzled by that. And here's the thing. I think part of it may be that in their minds, hey, we were going to do Blood and Guts on Dynamite. Let's do it on Dynamite. But I would still say, if you want to do that, do Inner Circle versus Pinnacle in tags, singles, get to Double or Nothing with Stadium Stampede, and then in June and July on a Dynamite, do your Blood and Guts match. There were so many ways to do this without doing this. And as you just said, even if you're going to do it this way, can we now leave it a week? Now, here's where I think things get interesting, and I could be wrong. We know that the Go Home show is being messed with, right? The Go Home show is now going to be a Friday night show. It's been shifted. Do we know what's going on with next week's show yet, or is that fine?
As far as
like the time slot?
Oh yeah, it's Wednesday.
Okay, so I wonder if this show looked particularly peculiar in terms of that's a lot they've got on that show. Do we think they are adjusting their timeline to make that last Friday show kind of like a countdown style show where, because let's be honest, dude, we're not expecting a great number for that show, right? It's on at, I believe, maybe 10 p.m. Eastern time, Friday night.
Yeah.
I just wonder if this segment was for next week and everything's had to be kind of shrunk down and escalated or accelerated. Because AEW's had issues with pay-per-view builds, and I've said it, right? And I think we can have a bigger talk about it in a moment. But this show did not feel like 4 major matches on a Dynamite. I can't remember the last time that's happened. Okay? Then you have the angles, and it's like, man, there's got to be a reason, Jeremy, they went from one match on the pay-per-view to, as you say, 8, 9, whatever it was. Like, there's got to be a reason for that. I've never seen them do that before,
They do, when it comes to match announcements, they do, pack them onto, not to this extent, mind you, but they do pack them onto, one singular show when it comes to, pay-per-view match announcements. So... Again, it's never been to this extent, but this isn't totally out of the ordinary. But this goes back to kind of a larger point we've talked about in the past of does Double or Nothing feel like blow-off matches right now in what they're booking? And, because it's come together, they've announced now essentially the whole card in 3 weeks. Does this feel like the culmination of a lot of stuff?
Well, I think the honest answer is in the middle. Right, because I think it would be unfair to say absolutely not. Because, let's be fair, the last pay-per-view concluded with Eddie and Mox finally as one. And if we're maybe I'm biased, perhaps I am, but my instincts are, Jeremy, this pay-per-view will end with Eddie and Mox completing that arc that, frankly, has now gone 7 months. If you go back to, the first pay-per-view they wrestled at. So
I don't think it'll end with this, but
no, but when they win the tag titles, effectively the story is right. If they win the tag, it's that's a complete story. You can do obviously you move on from there, but I think you can't dismiss that. I think Britt and Shida is a nice traditional build. If I have a complaint of it, Shida feels a little bit like a lamb to the slaughter. It feels like I don't know if anyone thinks Shida's winning this match, and frankly, it's at a point where if she did win it, it would be a shock for shock's sake. I don't know what the deal was with Shida. She clearly, to me, should have had the squash match last night. Clearly, to me. I'm kind of stunned to see how little they're getting out of her as champ. But That is what it is. But I still like that build just because it's Britt, climbing that mountain. I enjoy it. What else have we got? So the world title matches. Go ahead, Jeremy. Carroll.
Here's I'm with you on the Britt and Cheetah stuff, and this is my complaint that I had last week with AEW as well. Is the last time we really saw Britt on Dynamite. I know she squashed somebody last week, but she lost to Thunder Rosa. I get it doesn't count on the records and all, and that's what they're gonna point at and stuff. But and it was a great match, but we saw her lose that match. And this is what they've done with Pac and Orange Cassidy. Remember last week when they announced the matches? Do you remember the last time Pac had a win on Dynamite? Do you remember the last time Orange Cassidy had a win on Dynamite? They do a great job building these people on Dark and Dark Elevation with squash matches. So you can throw the record on there and be look, they're 8-1. This is a great record. It's your quality of competition just sucks though. I would have had Britt just beat somebody more worthwhile and worthy to really, really hammer that home.
I don't disagree with that, but what I will say is I think in defeat, Britt gained more from the Thunder Rosa match than either Pac or Orange have gained in some time, I don't think you're wrong. I would have liked kind of a more marquee win for Britt. I think with Pac and Orange, you have a really interesting one where everyone knows my feelings on triple threats, right? It's just not my thing generally. I've seen enough of them for a lifetime. I just don't particularly enjoy that style of match. I have no doubts this is going to be an all-time epic triple threat because these are innovative guys in the business. And with Orange, you have a great character to kind of use too. Orange, by the way, firmly in that lane of most creative guys, innovative guys. He's great. If he's cleared to go, which I assume he'll be fine. So I have no problems with the match from a match quality perspective. But does that make it right? I'm kind of left a little bit unsure, Jeremy, because we spent a long time saying, well, what's the Omega match? What are they building to? And in reality, there was no ace up the sleeve. It was just they got there and was here are the two top contenders, which is fine. It's cool, but it ain't. I guess this is my problem. Does anyone think there's a chance the world Omega's going to lose the title? No. And someone could say they would think that anyway, right? It's Omega's getting all the belts. Of course he's not losing it. I still think you need a conflict that kind of convinces people, a narrative,
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, Pac was linked with Omega earlier this year. He was in some of those Good Brothers six-mans, he was in that thing. So it isn't way out of left field. Oh my God, where'd Pac come from? But they lost that in between the shows. So it's kind of the connective tissue is not there. And with Orange, the conflict is brand new. I mean, they established it a week ago. So it's it's going to be a great match. I do wish when you have 3 months to build, you had a more I cannot wait to see this Omega match rather than it being, man, it's going to be a cool match, but it's just arrived on my doorstep here. It doesn't feel as earned that way. But then I guess the bigger topic is, Jeremy, is this a matter of you and I being in that they have 4 pay-per-views. This is 80s WWF stuff where the arcs, we start here, we finish there. When in reality, TV is so much more important now. This is just what they do with pay-per-views, And now the question becomes, Jeremy, I'm around. I apologize, but now the question becomes: if this show doesn't hit quality-wise, is the way they're doing it affecting the quality of the pay-per-views, or have they just had some tough luck on a couple of these pay-per-views? Because I think there's an argument either way. This one, I think, though, kind of will decide my take on it. If this blows out of the park match quality-wise, I'll be you know what? Do your thing. I'm wrong. But if, again, it's kind of flat and I prefer Dynamite, I think it's time to kind of change things a little bit. That's just me. Jeremy, go ahead. I apologize.
I think when you do have 4 pay-per-views, there does need to be needs to peak at these pay-per-views. Because that's what Tony Khan talked about in doing 4 pay-per-views. He's we're only going to do 4 because then it establishes, hey, these are our big 4 shows. These are where you're going to see everything kind of come to a head here, and you're going to get your money's worth. You're going to get great wrestling. We saw, like you said, 3 4-star matches on the show last night, free television. There's no problem with great wrestling on these shows. I think when you only have 4 pay-per-views, I think it does need to be more of hey, this is the blow-off to all the conflict you've been watching on television lately. You got to get people invested to throw their money here. You just want to give me great matches and be hey, pay for these great matches. Cool. There's obviously the audience is going to pay for these great matches. But again, you can get that every single week on television. So I think especially with the world title, put Kenny Omega out of it. Like for the world title, I think you need more of a conflict there.
Yeah.
For the pay-per-view, because I don't care about this Kenny Omega match. I know it'll be great. Don't get me wrong. I know it's going to be great. Pack Orange Cassidy, Kenny Omega, throw them together. It's going to be great. But again, I can watch great matches every Wednesday. I can do that. So I need something to actually sink my teeth into when it comes to a world title program.
Do we think there is a chance that the conclusion that's been drawn internally, and this is all guesswork, folks, because I'm watching what they're doing and trying to figure out where their mindset is. Do we think they view it as whatever we do on pay-per-view, this is our range of buyers? They feel like they've got a solid floor and they've got a ceiling that they feel like that will be like, you know what I mean? If we hit it, great. If we don't, this is where we're going to be at, around that 100K range. Whereas they view the TV as the world is our oyster. You know, we can keep climbing there. Pay-per-view is what it is. I wonder if that's their mindset on it, because it does feel a little bit like there's other matches where it's like there is a story there, but it more just feels like, oh, the pay-per-view's coming up, so now we're going to book it for the pay-per-view rather than in 2 weeks on Dynamite. You know, like, so for example, Brian Cage, Hangman. There is something there, right? Hangman did the match with Ricky, which started the Team Taz thing. Brian beat him. It's a simple enough story. Now, does it feel like, oh my God, you know, I've been waiting to see these guys fight? Obviously not. It feels more like the build to a B pay-per-view match on WWE. That's not an insult, but it is true, right? Like, it just feels like saying it's like they've pieced it together. It makes enough sense. It'll be a good match. It's going to be, it's interesting, man. Like, I'll be honest, my take on it and my taste is, I feel like it should be that 6 weeks out from the pay-per-view, I'm sitting there going, I cannot wait to get to Double or Nothing so I can get these matches. The reality is, and I know there's a middle ground, Jeremy, but the reality is that what I just said probably isn't viable for TNT. Does that make sense? So, like, I think they're still playing with the balance of blockbuster main events alongside, you know, pay-per-views that are bigger than those. It's difficult. I think they're struggling with it a little bit, but like, so where are we at on the card, Jeremy? So what have we looked at? We've gone tag titles we're happy with, world title we've discussed, women's title we've discussed. What else stand out to you as saying that you think is worth tackling?
I mean, we did Stadium Stampede. They're doing another Battle Royal. They always do the Battle Royal. Cody and a Go-Go, Hangman and Cage. I think that's everything, right? Am I missing something there?
How do you feel about Christian? My reaction when I saw the Hangman Brian Cage thing was like, wow, I thought that'd be Christian's spot.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Christian in the Battle Royal? So I can't remember, it was someone on Twitter, a pal on Twitter. They said, you know, it actually is a good fit, but he's outwork everyone. He can start the battle, because the Battle Royal for them is casino, right? He can be in the first set. He can show his stamina. He can work with a bunch of different guys. He can possibly win the thing, you know, get himself a shot at Omega on, you know, on a June Dynamite or whatever. And I can't disagree with that, but I have to admit, I was a little bit like, oh man, he's the Battle Royal. Like, it feels like this Team Taz thing was headed somewhere, you know?
Yeah, it does. I was surprised he was in the Battle Royal. I mean, we threw his name out there as a possible Omega contender, because that was what he did the first week. And then it did seem like they were setting up for a Team Taz thing. Do you think he was supposed to work Ricky on the pay-per-view? And then because Ricky got injured, they just had to go in a different direction. That's the only thing I can think. I do think it would have made more sense if he just worked Brian Cage, though, because Cage, you got him, he's coming off the big win against Hangman, and then there's the Team Taz thread. I think they should have just, if he was supposed to work Ricky, maybe they should have just pivoted to that regardless, but I think that should have been the original plan in the first place.
I do want to make it clear as well, like, I know it sounds hypocritical, me basically saying, why is Hangman Page a bigger priority than Christian Cage? Like, obviously he should be. It just caught me off guard. Like, I'm with you. I think Ricky, because in fairness, Jeremy, when he beat Hobbs, Ricky did the thing where he came out and looked up. You know, and Joel in the chat says he thought it was going to be Christian and Page versus Starks and Cage until the injury. So it may have been changed for sure. The other one that's interesting, and I'm complimentary of it, but also cautious, is Lance Archer come out at the end of Dynamite, right? So, you know, you'd assume we're getting Archer and Miro, which as a match, oh hell, you know, seatbelts on, this rock and roll. I spent a lot of time wondering why Archer was in this thing with Sting and Darby. And, like, I guess that was kind of smart. Like, that's how they made that all make sense. He would come out at the end when Darby was in the. I guess so, but I also kind of was like, it's another one where it's like they've not interacted. I don't know. It's hard, Jeremy. The reason I'm kind of half-hearted on this, folks, and I do apologize, but the reason I am is because I don't want to do the thing where I pretend it's shit just because it's not what I'm used to. Does that make sense? I don't think it has to be necessarily wrong because it's not how I would do it. I think the real key is, and I cannot stress this enough, and folks, you can sound biased because I am. Mox and Eddie need to win them tag titles, bro. Because this heat that you're giving the Young Bucks is great. And they're great as obnoxious kind of degenerates, like this dipshit over my shoulder. They're just irritating and annoying. But the one thing you do not want to do is feed that so much that it becomes the whole show. And it's just oh, I'm done. These are the two, this is the hottest act on the show to me. Eddie and Mox, specifically Mox, who is just the coolest guy in wrestling. You got to feed the hot hand in that regard. This is not the time for more heat. I'm worrying here it's WWE, I get that. But to me, it's a no-brainer. This show needs to end for me, Jeremy, with Eddie and Mox tag titles, the biggest title win of Eddie's career. It's just a great moment, full house. To me, that goes without saying. I think if you do that, the rest will fall in place, as weird as it sounds.
Yeah. Chris says, do you think they brought back Jericho so soon in response to the feedback about how the fake stunt was? If they did, that's a mistake. Just don't.
Could be true, though. Could be true, right?
It could be, but again, just delay everything a week. Just give everybody this week off and just be everyone was banged up in this. Take a week off, do the angle the following week. Not just Jericho, literally everyone in the inner circle, everyone in the Pinnacle. So, but it could be true. Again, I would have just given both groups the entire week off because stuff just needed to breathe last night. I didn't like that after SCU had broken up, they're teasing, inner circle has to break up if they lose that match. And I do think it was a disservice to SCU to the back them, although not to the TNA career. Just wasn't good. You could have done the Moxley Eddie thing. You could have done that as the, hey, this is what happened during the break.
All the way around.
Right. Yeah, it didn't make sense to do it the way they did it. I thought it was a big disservice to them. And I love that match, by the way. I thought that match was tremendous.
I'm glad you actually went back to that because I could have so easily moved. We could have moved on and we forgot, but what a great match. And not just that, man. It's worth doing because we don't know if he's actually done or not. Chris Daniels, what a professional wrestler that dude has been for decades now. He's a beloved guy in pro wrestling, which doesn't affect dipshits like you and I that just talk about it. But it's always nice. It adds a nice shine to someone's resume to me and their legacy. But just the performer he's been. There was a great moment last night. There was a few. I mean, there was the great shot with the blood dripping on the, on the Bucks fake sneakers and all that good stuff. And one bit that was really great, and I thought was a great encapsulation of one of my favorite wrestling bits ever, which is the dudes that they're gone, they're old, they're just trying to hold on, but they got that heart, and you can tell those stories over and over again. And the bit where Chris Daniels goes for BME, right? And it was not planned. He missed it. He's covered in blood. He's figured. And you can see Chris's body language. I'm not going home without hitting this BME. I'm going to go up this road. I'm going to do this 10 times if I have to, man. And he hit it perfectly. And I think everyone watching around, wherever you were watching that, however invested you were, you sitting there man, good. I'm glad Chris got that. He's been great for years. He still is. Him and Kazarian, I think. People might scoff and say it's hyperbole when they said it's one of the great teams. Fuck, man, I think they are one of the great teams. I really do. I think they've been a great team for a decade now. So good for them. And on that note, as far as things that it's worth talking positively about, Miro, I was sitting there earlier thinking about this, and it's it isn't lost on me how much Miro's moment last night mirrored Brody's moment with the TNT title, in the sense that, and Miro had a longer struggle, but when Brody came in, his usage sparked a debate, right? About, were they actually wrong to not feature this guy on top and prominently? Was it? And we started all talking ourselves in and out of this. And I, as someone that always loved his work, I was kind of I don't know about this. And he steadied the ship. He rebuilt. And Brody's signature moment, and God, we wish he had so many more, but his signature moment after doing that was the TNT title. Mm-hmm. And as I watched Miro with that belt, I just thought, man, like it's a familiar tale. Here's a guy who came in, and let's be honest, people laughed. They dunked on it all. And fair enough. I'm not saying the Kip stuff was good, guys. I'm not trying to retroactively praise it. But coming out of last night, Jeremy, I don't know about you, but I'm fired up for Miro's TNT champ. I'm ready. I think he's now in place to be the wrestler that for a decade people have wanted him to be. And like it finally to me feels like the time's right, the place is right. He's ready to go physically. Good Lord, a monster, you know? So that wasn't lost on me. Good for him too. That was a great match with Darby Allin.
It was a great match. I don't think they added time to that match, but I do wonder if that match was even supposed to be shorter. But something had to be prolonged because obviously Orange and Pac got cut. I don't know if it was the Inner Circle segment or I don't know if it was that match, because that match did totally feel, even coming into it, that like Miro was just going to kill Darby the same way Brody and Cody kind of played out. And it went maybe a little bit longer, but I thought it was fine with how long it went. I thought it was actually great. And I love the moment between Darby and Sting as well. Could have, again, lived without the, like, do you need like a Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page attacking Sting stuff? Like, just let these moments breathe, you know? Just have Miro get his moment. If Lance wants to come out and they kind of confront each other, that's fine. But just let stuff breathe a little bit. You really don't have to get these 80 people on the show every week. Yeah. It's okay.
And what frustrated me about that one, Jeremy, was they actually did that. They didn't achieve anything with it, really.
Yeah.
You know, I understand the Archer thing because it's like, okay, you had to make it clear they're on like a collision course. Okay. But Ethan and Scorpio had already done something to Sting. So like you were just adding icing to saying that you'd already done it. Like you had to just make a reference. It was fine. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff like that where it's just like, man, can you just slow down a little bit? Especially for me. Like I love Dynamite, but like, my general wrestling taste is like a pretty confined, restrained wrestling show, and Dynamite is berserk. And I appreciate some weeks when they do this shit, clicks and everything's like on point. You're like, I can't wait to see what's next. This week it was more like, guys, can you just give me a minute here, please? Miro just won the title. You know, it was a pretty frantic match. Let me enjoy this. Let me appreciate this before the Dark Order come running down and all that stuff. Like it's just a little much.
Chris says SCU getting broken up in the middle of the first hour seems a tad disrespectful. Wasn't it the top of the hour? But I understand the title change. Maybe Pac and Orange Cassidy.
It was the middle. Yeah, it was the middle.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, look, when you stack this show the way they did, I mean, they had 4 big matches on this show, plus a big Inner Circle and Pinnacle segment. Like, when you stack it like that, things have just got to be positioned very, very oddly. So I think that's just more of a thing of like, hey, maybe this match didn't need to take place this week. Maybe you just do this match next week and you have that moment breathe a little bit more.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because I made the excuse earlier about the weeks and, you know, but next week they're doing the Varsity Blondes, right?
Yeah, next week, like the card right now is Young Bucks, Varsity Blondes. Okay. Serena Deeb's back in action against Red Velvet, Cage and Seidel, a Go-Go and Austin Gunn. Like, ain't much for next week. You couldn't do.
It's cool, but you could really do with one of those matches we had this week as the main event. Like, I'm with you. Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird, man. They do stuff like. I think this podcast must be really shitty now, guys, because it's just me sort of going. I don't know if that's what they do at AEW, but I was talking to my brother about this, who is definitely what you call casual fan until the last few months watching AEW. And we were talking, like, this is the strangest professional wrestling show. Jeremy, they have like 100 people. And they like rotate them around this weekly show. Kenny Omega is world champ, but like, he's on it like as much as like 50 other guys.
Darby Allin is like the one constant. Like he's in the main event every week.
And that's because like you can tell they hit a trend with him ratings wise. And they're like, right, let's just do Darby. And again, I want to stress, this is not a criticism. Like, I'll say this much for AEW, man. No one comes out and I'm like, oh, them again? Because there's too many people for that to ever happen. Yeah. It's like I'm thankful to see most of these people on the show once a month. It's just a very, when I say weird, I think people think I'm being like critical, but I'm actually just saying like I genuinely can't understand it most of the time. It's bizarre the way, like it would give me a headache, Jeremy, looking at the angles in front of me and being like, oh, we have like 15 things here going on this show this week. Like it's a lot going on, but I don't know. It's definitely an evolving landscape, and I just hope they have control over it in a way that my brain fails to. I'll put it that way. That's where I'm at.
Joseph, this Sunday, it's WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania on Sunday. Joseph?
It sure is. That's what I hear, right? That's what the folks at Peacock are saying.
WrestleMania I've been told WrestleMania Backlash. I didn't realize.
Really?
I didn't realize it. Yeah. It's not actually WrestleMania. It's called WrestleMania Backlash.
See, this is where if I was good at podcasting, I would like just dunk violently and be like, AEW, and I'd take the Shawn Michaels and rip its head off. But I'm not good at podcasting. So I'll now, if you thought I was cold on the last 45 minutes show, I'll now just be like, that sounds good. Because it does.
Don't Robert O'Neill me here.
No, I'll try I'm a professional. And you know I don't really watch the TV anymore, but I looked at the Backlash card, okay, before we did this. And I was like,
good
to me.
Yeah,
it looks good. Like Roman and Cesaro. Yeah, I'm in. Like Bailey and Blair. Like I don't really love the way that they've done it because they've done a feud and then left it so they can go back to it, which is like it's kind of smart, but it makes it feel a little bit undercooked and flat. But the match will be good.
Speaking of women who have no television victories to of note to earn a title shot, here's Bailey.
Exactly, and that's not ideal, but like. I don't know. I feel like a broken record with WWE where it's just like, I know this pay-per-view is probably going to be really good. You know, or for me, it'll be like, my taste is such that I'll be able to enjoy the wrestling for what it is. I mean, they've even put the Dogs and the Mysterios, which is a match literally booked directly for me and only for me.
Yeah, I broke that news to you on Twitch, and you were fired up about this match.
I think it will be great. I think it should be a really good traditional tag match. You know, I'm imagining Ray as babyface in peril. Maybe even do Dominic. I don't know, bro. I mean, get wild with it. But it will be good. Is there a match on the show that's shitty? Because I can't remember it off the top of my head, like, fully. Is there a thing we can dunk on and poke fun at?
Yeah, Damian Priest and The Miz.
That's dumb. There's no need for that to still be a thing.
No.
Yeah, I don't get that. I kind of...
Well, I mean, Miz pinned him the night after WrestleMania in his underwear. So Damian Priest has got to get revenge.
See, the thing with The Miz is I find it to be a very hard professional to discuss because I genuinely respect him and think he's good at his job, but I just don't really see him anymore, you know? And I don't know, that's definitely not his fault. Like, he's one of those guys where if you're in talent relations and Miz's contract's coming up, you go, well, you got to re-sign The Miz. He's brilliant. He does Miz and Mrs. He does the press. But then you actually see him on the show and you're just like, what is there left for The Miz to do, man? Like, bless his heart. He's done the thing where he was like the best IC guy. He's been comedy heel guy. It's a whole lot of same to me, and this doesn't get me excited. A young guy, well, not young, but a fresh guy working with Miz is like, really, again? I don't know. It's just a little bit much for me.
A fresh guy working with Miz where they've already had like a dozen singles matches or multi-man matches. Like, the story ended at WrestleMania. What was there left to say after the WrestleMania match? Why did you need to go back to it? It makes...
Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. Didn't Bad Bunny pin The Miz?
Yeah.
Feels like it should be the end of the feud, yeah.
Yeah. I would personally
suggest that. I would personally suggest when the pop star beats the wrestler, I would then not pivot to the feud where it's only the wrestler without the help of said pop star.
But it's a lumberjack. It's a lumberjack match because Miz has been running away. Why didn't Morrison attack Miz? I know you don't watch the television, but they did a match where it was Morrison against Damian Priest, where the winner got to pick the stip for the pay-per-view match, right?
Right.
Why didn't Miz attack Morrison? So Morrison just wins the match.
Well, they're dumb, though. You could always explain that as them just being dipshits. I don't know, Jeremy. I can't answer it. Okay, that's shitty, but everything else looks fine, right?
Yeah, it should be. Any surprises here that you think may happen? Title changes?
I hope not. I mean, look at what we got. So let's go through it. I think the match that's interesting from a results perspective is the Raw Women's Triple Threat. Because, like, I don't know where we're going here. Do you? I mean, we know that the Alexa is looming, which is very scary. But she is looming. Like, so unless she's going to, and listen, this could happen, so don't get mad at me. Unless her and Lily are targeting the women's tag titles, she's going after one of the three women in that match, right? I mean, that's a dangerous, because who the hell do we want to feud with Alexa out of those three? Rhea is 18 inches taller than her. Charlotte is 17 inches taller than her, and Asuka has already been murdered twice. She doesn't need to go back again. There's no need for it. Like, it's scared. I don't know who's going to win it, but I don't know where you fit Alexa, and that's even harder to me.
I think Rhea is going to retain here, but at the same time, like, they love Charlotte. Why wouldn't they just put the title on Charlotte, and then Charlotte can do, I told you, I'm the opportunity, I'm the best, blah, blah, blah. The same promo she always does, but people like really love it now because, I don't know, she's leaning into it.
They do this deal where they're like, they make Rhea Ripley do Charlotte promos, and she's obviously not good at them because she's not Charlotte. And then they bring Charlotte back, and people are like, wow, Charlotte's great. You know, it's very difficult. Again, I've said my film triple threats. That would be good too. Bobby Lashley needs to win his triple threat though. Like, that much goes without saying, right?
I'm concerned about this, Joseph.
I know you are, Jeremy. Please explain.
I'm concerned. I think Braun is winning this thing. I really do. I think Braun Strowman is going to win the title on Sunday.
Right. I have no take on this because I now pretend to like Braun because he looks like me. So I will ask you this, okay? If Braun Strowman wins the World Wrestling Federation title, does Twitter pivot into a well, actually? Or does everyone need to just go, hands up, it's over?
I think certain people pivot into a well, actually. I think the majority go into, yeah, this probably the end of it here.
What's the long term for the guys on Raw? Like, what are we shooting for on that brand? Because Bob and Drew, as far as I know, work TV on Monday.
Yes.
So, like, you're not doing this thing where it's like, oh, we're saving that match, you know? Like, we'll put Braun in so we can do that later. Like, you did it on Raw. So, what's our big match over there, Jeremy?
A brand shakeup? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It feels like I've seen all of these matches. I mean, if Keith Lee can return, there's that, but
true.
I don't know what's going on with him, when he'll be back. Otherwise, I just don't know.
This fantasy book. Do we think, I don't know where you're at on this guy, but I'm going to throw him out there. Is there a chance that you just cement Bob as top guy through to SummerSlam and he drops it, Damian Priest?
I could see that. I'm fine with that.
Especially if they could get the Bad Bunny in the corner.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's a joke. Like, with MVP, you could do that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They can get him there. I assume, by all accounts, seems like they want fans at SummerSlam. So yeah, you can get Bad Bunny in one corner, MVP in the other. I think that'd be big for Damian Priest. They gotta do a better job keeping him out of these Miz feuds and whatnot. But I like that direction. I don't know where else. Like, Raw just feels like Randy's been there. I don't know with Riddle. Like, who else is on this show that you could possibly care about?
You know, I said it a few weeks ago, Jeremy, but I often say people don't appreciate how big the AEW roster is. People don't appreciate how small these Raw and SmackDown crews are getting. Like, because they use so few, very bare groups they've got now. You know, it's actually kind of odd. It feels old school and weird in a way that I don't think they're good at using or comfortable with. Like, I don't know. The Priest one stands out to me as a guy I could make. I'm personally pretty high on Priest. You know, I think he has some cool factor. I think he's charismatic. He's also a guy that at his age, you want to strike while the iron's hot. You know, not a guy you're going to go, okay, we'll give it a few years. He's not that guy, right? You want to go with him. Because if it's not him, we're effectively going to build to Drew back in as a baby fan. And look, I don't need to go over Drew again. Bless his cotton sock. So, you know, I dunked on him all year long. But he just, I don't think anyone really is desperate for him.
Joseph, did you see my interview with Drew McIntyre on Distraction Choice?
That's exactly what it was, an interview with Drew McIntyre. No, here's the thing with Drew. And I cannot stress this enough. He does everything in his power to make it work. And he tries his best and he has good matches. I just don't know if he's the caliber of top guy that you build this much programming around only to then go straight back to him. Because the problem is, it's all well and good saying, oh, we'll do, you know, a new coronation for Drew at SummerSlam. Great. So then who does Drew work? You know, like, you've done it all. Like, I know, but then the brand split becoming. I get it. I understand it, but I don't know, man. It's difficult. They haven't got a plethora of like, oh, when we get to this match, we'll be cooking, do they? Like, it's just more like they just do stuff, and wherever they fall, man. And anyone that thinks I'm wrong on that, look at how they ended up at Mania. I mean, holy shit. Miz won it, Bob won it, and then they're falling all over themselves. Brock turned down the call, put his phone down. It was all over. You know, that's how they do it. And if that's fine with you, that's fine with you. But for me, I need to have like some assurance in my brain that they know where they're going, because otherwise it just gives me a headache.
They have no idea where they're going, Joseph.
Exactly. It's just difficult, Jeremy. I don't know. I mean, maybe our friend Kroz is coming up to pop the rating and he'll beat Bob. That would be quite the statement, wouldn't it?
Dude, they aired. Do you know the Monday Night Raw is a lead-in for NXT 24 hours later? Have you heard about this, Joseph? That's
what I hear, yes. Because what they do is they end Raw and then they rewind it and they just loop it until NXT starts. Did you know that?
Yeah, exactly. So they aired an ad for NXT with the Karrion Kross, talking about his match with the guy from the Way that nobody likes. And like, this is supposed to be the big thing. This was supposed to be the big thing of like, here's NXT's promotion on Raw. And I actually like this. I thought they should have done more of this when they were on Wednesday night. It's like, NXT does a good job announcing their matches ahead of time. So on Raw, you can say like, hey, here's what's coming up on NXT. Don't run like the generic promo every week. Like, actually try to hype the matches that are there. They aired the Karrion Kross promo. And man, like, I don't know.
It's just, yes.
I don't know.
That's one where truly I honestly would feel like a dickhead giving you my actual opinion on him as like a centerpiece for a brand. By the way, I do want to credit a chat who's talking about AJ Styles as a Raw guy. Genuinely, honest to God, Jeremy, I've seen Omos wrestle once, I think. Let's do it. Let's just go on with this AJ Omos stuff. Let's just do it, man. Like, why not? Why not at this point? But Kross. It's just like he's doing like the shooter thing, and it's like he does like the old school wrestler faces, which generally pop me, but they just come. It all feels so awful phony, doesn't it? There's no real sense of intensity of danger. It's so forced and kind of. It's just not authentic. I don't know. I think he sucks. I frankly think he sucks. I'm sorry, everyone. I just don't, and it doesn't help. In his defense, my opinion is very much damaged by the fact that they do that presentation, that entrance, and all of it, and he's a baby face, and it's a lot, man. I know that our friend Bob O'Neill is going to talk about NXT, but like, I'm trying with NXT, and I think it's a good show. I struggle with both their champs, to be quite frank. They're singles champs, but Kross is like, my God, it's like going for a maze me trying to enjoy his stuff. It's just not good, I don't find.
Is that what O'Neill's talking about? Do we actually
who
know?
Gives a shit? I don't ever listen to what he says. I go on Twitter.
Is he here? Where is he? He's not here.
He's not here.
No.
Bob O'Neill.
Justin Wiley says, here because of the paid ad on Listing Your Boy. Thanks, buddy. Tell Sean Ross Sapp he's a coward because he didn't run the paid ad for yesterday. But see, it paid off. It's a weird concept that we're on the same show, we're on the same team, we're on the same channel, and you use it. They're the lead-in, right? You use the Wednesday show to promote the Thursday show, and it's good for everybody.
Oh, I mean, apparently so. I mean, no one nearly lost their jobs or anything. So, maybe we should get Kross to do our promos to promote the show, right? Maybe we do that.
Luke Gregg says, looking forward to multiple WrestleMania voodoo cramp spots in the women's shovel thread on Sunday. That's your shit, Joseph, right? That's.
I honestly think he's like, genuinely angry, which is a way I don't like to get that frustration. So I just generally don't talk about it, I just can't believe they're doing this stuff. And can I just say, everyone that's responding with being like, Papa Shango did it. No one put that shit over. No one put over Papa Shango. They just didn't. But apparently now I have to be like, well, he did it, so fuck, my opinion doesn't matter.
There's Robert O'Neill. All right. What's he talking about?
I think he's talking about NXT. Hopefully he talks about the ratings for 3 minutes.
I think the ratings should be out pretty soon. Let me All right. Bring on O'Neal here. Joseph, here's what time it is.
History final.
Robert O'Neal's here. How you
What's up,
doing,
guys?
Robert O'Neal?
I'm getting grief because I'm not here exactly. I was here at 3. I'm not here at 2:58. Now I'm getting grief buried publically.
You getting buried
publicly all the time.
That's true. That's kind of your gimmick, Bob. To be fair, that seems like you're the one that's wrong for complaining. That's fine. Bob, what are you talking about this week? NXT.
Yeah, it was going to be NXT, but you made a lot of my points for me in the last 5 minutes, so we'll see where we go.
He blames us. And I was like, I was going to talk about that, but you guys did it already.
Well, I'm going to talk about NXT, and then you guys talk about like the biggest thing in NXT 5 minutes before I come on.
So you're just basically you're saying that we've already made your points, that you have no original points, is what?
No,
you're
I have some other points. We talk about main event. I watched main event this week.
Cool, go, bro. Do that.
All right, O'Neal. Let me play this intro. Fire up the phone here. Hold on. Okay, here we go.
History final.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, just kind of touching a little bit more on NXT. Like, it's good stuff. I think it's been good since they moved to Tuesdays. You know, they're not trying to just do this week to week. You know, let's have a huge show just to try and win the rating and then not win every week. They're letting things kind of breathe a little bit more. They're letting things, you know, play out more or less. And that's good. But when your champion is a guy that a lot of people just don't like, it's hard to get behind him. And especially when it comes at the expense of Finn Balor, who was having probably his best run in WWE. That last run that he's had in NXT was very good. So, you know, I think NXT's good. I think it'll heat up over the summer. I enjoy watching it enough. You know, it's better than Raw. That's not a compliment, but, you know. And I think last night, you know, what was it last night? Tuesday night? Whatever. They all run together. It was good too. You know, Mercedes Martinez with Kel Gonzalez, good match. The tag stuff's very good. They're finally elevating Kushida. That's the thing that a lot of people have been asking for a long time now. But yeah, it's hard to get behind a program when Cross is a champion. He's a guy that I didn't like originally when he came in, and I got a lot of heat for that. And now no one likes him. Yeah, Joseph, I did want to talk. Where'd you get that? Why do you have that?
Watch the product, O'Neal. No, don't. Watch the product.
Rewind the show, Bob. Carry on. Your time's running out here.
You guys do like 15 hours of shows a week. I can't watch all of them.
It was on this show. Literally on this show. We discussed it.
Yeah, but I do want to talk about main event because I did watch it this week. As I alluded to, Nikki Cross made her return to in-ring action, and she beat Naomi. And it kind of felt like, with how they're going on commentary, that they're God, Joseph. They're trying to bring her back into the fold. You know, they did it with Jinder a couple weeks ago where he was on main event, and now he's back on Raw, which is good. So hopefully Nikki Cross is back soon. She's very good. And you look at the Raw women's division, she could definitely be an improvement over a large handful of them. What do we got here? I did want to talk about also AEW having licensed music is such a cool thing that they do. It's such a little thing. You know, their in-house themes aren't great. I know WWE hasn't had to go to licensed music because they've had pretty good in-house themes before the last 2 years. They've had very good in-house themes. But yeah, no, it's a cool thing that AEW does. Like Jungle Boy, I mean, just having Tarzan Boy is such a big thing. And, you know, Mox coming out last night to Wild Thing was cool. And then before I leave, you know, you guys are on Patreon now. Should I expect my check at the beginning of every month, or how is that going to work? And do you need my bank account info, or you need a mailing address, or what's the plan on that?
Just wait a few seconds on that. I'm going to figure it out. Okay, good. Well, that was saying, Jeremy.
O'Neal's still here. I'm not bringing him back on the show.
Good.
But I will say this. O'Neal, if you want to contribute something to the Patreon, I'll gladly cut you in. I'm not gonna say how much I'm cutting you in, but I'll gladly cut you in if you wanna contribute something.
That would be, I mean, I feel like all of the patrons right now are like, please, Bob, join us. But I actually want to talk about some of Bob's points because I don't like to interrupt him. You know, I may like to distract as is fitting for this program we produce.
I didn't realize how fucking small that thing is.
Yes, it's very small, which feels fitting. He is justice, as I've said before. He is justice. You know this thing about NXT, right? I agree the show's been, when I wasn't really watching before, so I can't say it's better, but like it's good. And they're definitely booking their main events a week or two in advance, right? Which is good. Thumbs up. I think before it was a little more hectic. At the same time, Jeremy, I think we don't want to get carried away here, acting like they're sort of doing some sort of Bill Watts style, you know, I mean, last week was a absolute war of a, like, you know, street fight deal. This week was a 2 out of 3 falls. Next week is a cage match, and the week after that is an NXT World Title match. I mean, they're hardly reining it in. You know, I mean, I understand what Bob's point was. I'm not criticizing Bob here, but I still worry a little bit about, like, you know, the thing we say about AEW, about how can you make the pay-per-views feel different? How do you make takeovers feel different? You know, you're doing a cage match next week, Cross and Finn the week after that. It's similar. It's a similar issue of, like, that balance between giving people good main events and running things at the ground. Because I will say one thing NXT has, and this is not their fault, it's the reality of their situation where guys don't move up anymore. It does feel like you've watched a lot of those guys wrestle each other an awful lot. You know, it really, like, this week, I was watching the show and it was Oni and Kyle this week, right? And I was just like, I should be so much more excited for this match, but, like, I feel like I've seen these guys do shit for years now. So it's difficult. And I think they're still struggling to me to adjust to having guys there for as long as they're there now. It's a very different thing, right?
Somebody said it. Joe Gagne, maybe?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, you know I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the thing with NXT was, like, they would just, like, cycle guys in and out. Like, guys would do their year run, they'd go up to the main roster, and then you'd bring in a fresh crop of former past stars, indie stars, all that stuff. And now it's like Gargano, Ciampa, all these guys have been there, Undisputed Era. They've all been there for like 4 or 5 years now. I guess they're bringing back Zelina Vega. Seems like she's going to be on the NXT brand. I would not be shocked if, and I said it when Andrade asked for his release, that Paul should hit him up and be like, hey, come back. Andrade said he wants to return. He still wants to be WWE champion and everything. Andrade does his he does his matches. He does his run, and he's back in NXT soon enough as well.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Nothing surprises me. You know, it's at the end of the day, it's their job. You know, do what you got to do. If you want to work for the WWE, if you want to work for MLW, do that even. You know, like, it is what it is. The one thing I know people hate ratings talk. I get it. But, like, I have to take a slight victory lap. Slight. Because I spoke about this at length on Twitch. I don't know if I did it on here, but I did it on Twitch. I do think, genuinely, moving for NXT, it puts their relevance in threat to me. Because I just think that on Wednesdays, that fan was already at their television set for wrestling, right? So you're always a click away. No matter how low the rating got, if AEW turned out a weak show, you were always there on the other channel. Now, I know it didn't go their way a lot of times. I do think, though, there is a chance that now they're on their own day, NXT suffers from what we've been seeing these other shows like an Impact suffer from for the longest, which is like, you're asking people to watch a 4th day of wrestling at that point, you know? I do think, Jeremy, this could be, I mean, you may know better than me because you probably see, like, the engagement on the news stuff. But I don't know, just because you're on your own day, I don't think that necessarily means you have more buzz or relevance. It just sort of means you're in your own little world more sometimes. You know, it's an interesting thing to follow, I think.
I think you're correct because, yeah, they're in their own world, but there's no more buzz for NXT than there was before. Like, the card on Tuesday wasn't bad. Like, you had 2 title matches, and again, people love Kushida, the women's division and everything. Like, it was a good card, and people just weren't talking about it too much leading up to it. Next week, good card. Week after that, good card. But, like, how much are people actually going to be talking about it? Where we see with AEW is like, yeah, all right, so they were up against AEW on Wednesdays. People were always talking about AEW. There was always, like, wrestling chatter going on the timeline and stuff. AEW was always getting the buzz. And, like, even when AEW people did, like, interviews and stuff, they'd have to answer questions about NXT. So there was still some buzz on that. Like, just on Tuesdays, you're right. It's just, all right, it's another night of wrestling. We already got Monday, which Mondays just become like habit, right? You have Wednesday, which Wednesday feels fresh and new. It's a different company, different vibe and everything. You have Friday, which is on Fox. those 3 nights are already taking precedent over what you're doing on Tuesday. So then you're thinking, I'm already dedicating 3 nights to watching wrestling. Am I really about to dedicate a 4th night? Like,
Yes.
it's tough.
Yeah, and that's where it's important to say this is not a matter of their product. I'm actually saying they could do anything with that crew. On Tuesdays as NXT, they're probably going to struggle. You could probably switch, Jeremy, directly the Raw content with NXT, and the numbers would be the same because people watch Raw out of habit, as you just said. You know, it is what it is. You're fighting uphill. I'll ask the same question though that I asked a moment ago, and maybe the chat can help because they'll be more fluid into NXT than I am. What's the big match at the end of the? What's the big one? What are we shooting for in NXT? Because let me tell you, Jeremy, I haven't got a clue what it is. Because Finn's worked with all the guys that you would want to see him work with to me. So where do we go?
Well, the next pay-per-view is in your house in a month. I think it's going to be some type of multi-man match, honestly. I think it's going to be Cross and O'Reilly. It might just be Cross and O'Reilly. Cross beats Dunn, or not. O'Reilly beats Dunn, and then moves on to work with Cross because it feels like Cross is going to beat Balor in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
And then you do O'Reilly Cross. You have O'Reilly win, and then you call up Cross for the main roster. And then that's when, like, you want to talk long-term booking. Cross comes up to the main roster. They want to make this guy immediately. He beats Braun Strowman for the title at SummerSlam. Is this the darkest timeline, Joseph?
Yeah, for me, it's terrifying. But I guess if you go that way, I guess you would. This is where I assume they're thinking is if Kyle gets the belt, he could then do the Adam Cole rematch, which I know you were not like super high on it, and it was polarizing. But like, I'm going to guess they see that as like the epic return, So maybe that.
I think as a singles match, just like straight wrestling, not this like over the top dramatic street fight, which the tone of it was just completely off. I think they just go out there and have a singles match. I think it'd probably be great. Bobby Fish is back now. I don't know when Roddy comes back. At some point, they got to do the Undisputed Era match, right? Like,
sure, bro. Sure. I mean,
I'm excited about Bobby Fish.
Bobby's done a lot of stuff that makes me less excited about him. Unfortunately, he's a good pro wrestler. I think Roddy's obviously awesome. I don't know Jeremy Lambert. I don't know. I don't know if I'm being unfair here. This is what I mean when I say about when you're booking those matches on the weekly. It's like, do you have enough guys to book those kind of matches every week? Here's a question: are they building to our friend Bronson Reed, who does the funny face on the entrance? Is he gonna topple the Cross? Is that what we're building to?
I don't know. I think he might get the North American title. Then I have no idea what you do with Gargano after that. Because Gargano's been there forever and wrestled everybody. And now that he's like this comedy heel character, I just don't know where he goes. Like, I do think you could do a Gargano and O'Reilly feud with their current characters.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I got to be honest, man. This could be a completely I'm off the rails thing, but I would like them to just be part of the next draft.
Yeah,
I really would. Listen, I think they've done I think it's hard for me to criticize what they've done with Gargano and Ciampa because you have to evolve those characters. Because as you said, you can't. You finish the cycle, and now it's like, oh, they're staying. Okay, new cycle. Isaiah Swerve Scott comes up in the mention. He's fabulous. I think North American title is a good fit for him too. But I think the product is good. And I think the booking is the best of the 3 WWE shows, in my opinion. From what I've seen, I'd say it's the one that I can most sort of see what I like in. It's pretty traditional. I just think it would really benefit from a new crew altogether. Just a new group. Because how many guys on the main roster could benefit from going back there? And if nothing else, it does have more of its own identity towards back there. Like, to me, that's how I would look to. Because while you still have those regulars, as you just said, it's hard. You've seen them wrestle everyone. As great as they are, and they are great, there's no fresh there. It's just very familiar.
Yeah. All right, guys. Anything else, Joseph?
Anything else? NWA Power was good.
We'll answer questions about Power on Twitch if you would like. We'll be on Twitch in about 15 minutes or so. Twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming. One last super chat from Carlos Easy. Distraction choice. About to beat Fightful Select on a feature. if you want to make a logo for Distraction Choice, because I can't use the one we currently have, slide in my DMs. You will be compensated. Nothing fancy at all, guys. Like, please don't spend more than like 5 minutes on this logo. Right now, I just switched it to the picture of me sipping the juice box, just to appease the powers that be there, to get the branding off of there, so it doesn't, the association isn't there and everything. But if you do want to make a logo for Distraction Choice, slide in my DMs. Again, you will be compensated, credited. We won't heal on you by not crediting you.
I have nothing to say about that, but I have some stuff to promote. Fightful magazine, Jeremy Lambert. You can now order it in print, the first ever Joseph James Hulbert in print, as he comes out of retirement, Jeremy, to cover Terry Funk and Ric Flair, the kings of leaving retirement, and their famed 1989 feud. One of my favorite things I've done. I was really proud of that. So I would appreciate if you check it out. And if you do, tweet me and say you liked it. If you didn't like it, don't ever tweet me again. Post show on the Twitch. Listen, Twitch, we're on that thing every day. You know the deal, guys. The Patreon you've touched on. What else do I need to plug here? Is there anything? Oh, some more stuff. I think I'm on Wrestling Daily tomorrow. But like, Alex is very like poorly dangerously with this shit. He's like, I've got you. Like, we shook hands. Well, it's not on paper or anything. So like, here's what I'm saying. If any of you guys run a Friday podcast at the time Wrestling Daily runs, which I don't know what time that is, because obviously I don't watch the product, you can actually steal me from their show, because I'm not on paper. Free agent. You can take me. So that's out there. I'm also doing True Hill Heat on the weekend. I'm doing a whole lot of guest spots because I have stuff to promote, even though I just forgot which I have to promote. So there you go, folks. That's where it's at.
SP3, he's doing the SmackDown post show tomorrow. I have a night off, but I'm gonna make a run in to ensure my job is not taken, because he's much better than me, and plus I just assume I'm getting fired all the time anyway, so make sure I do a run in, sabotage things a little bit over there, make sure our job security, Joseph, I'm
gonna be honest, Jeremy, it would be very awkward if SP3 takes your job one day before I go on his show. That'd be it'd be very difficult. But nonetheless, anyway, we'll see you on Twitch, folks. You get it.
Twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We'll be back next Thursday talking more nonsense.